to Heart with Shakti Sundari. I'm here in Byron Bay, Australia, with Marion Elyard and Ron van Twuiver, who are the organisers and creators of Australia's biggest Tantra festival. So welcome, you guys. Thank you so much, Marion and Ron, for giving us the time to talk about what you're doing here in Byron Bay. So just to tell our viewers a little bit more about both of you and what you're doing here. Marion is a psychosomatic therapist, a counsellor, a mother, who's really passionate about happy embodiment and working people through their wounding to be fulfilled and living to their greatest potential. Yeah, and Ron does very similar work, also working with embodiment, counselling, therapy, working with men, and they both have a passion for Tantra and conscious relating. So the Taste of Love Festival, I love the title, I love the poster, the rose in the hand, that sort of sense of blossoming. Tell us a little bit about why you're involved with this.
Basically, the Taste of Love Festival just really came my way. You know, there was an invitation in the space to do this sort of festival where everybody comes together. And it was really, for me, a really deep calling to open up a space of ecstasy and education space, how to reach that space of internal ecstasy. Because Tantra is a lot about freeing up blockages and letting the ecstatic energy run through the body again. So it's a festival, like an open forum where we can bring in lots of people to have lots of experience, and then we send them out again and they just have these little new things happening in their life.
Right. So does that mean that ecstasy is your definition of the heart of Tantra?
I wouldn't say that, because you know, to explain the heart of Tantra, that would probably take like a few hours if there is something like an explanation for it. But I think I do think that ecstatic living is a big part of the result you get from living Tantra or living in a more aware, conscious, wholesome space. I think it's a result of a lifestyle. There's a certain happiness that arises, and this particular happiness is what we want to share and give people pathways of how to get there.
Exactly. Ron, I just want to bring you into the conversation, just ask you about your involvement in the festival. Tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing and what you're passionate about.
What I've been doing, lots of behind the scenes stuff. I also facilitate a small workshop, but my main aim is to support Marion in the conference, and to also support him some feedbacks and business support a little bit, technology support, and being the stopgap from something doesn't happen, that I can help with things on the last minute.
How does it work being a couple organising a big event together?
It's tricky. It's been very busy. Yeah, so it is nice. We've got a visitor here.
We had a baby along the way.
A little cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is very good, but it is very busy. Like, we both are parents, and to juggle everything around and to organize, but Marion is a master organizer, so it's like she's really good in getting things done.
How does it work in terms of your blend of masculine and feminine energies, in terms of the roles that you take on and how that works between you and within you? I'm curious about that, because Tantra is so much about the masculine and feminine and they dance together.
Yeah, I'd like to say something about that. So what I'm noticing, because I actually love working together as a couple, but it's new for me as well. And for me, like, in the feminine energy, I really feel very spacious. So I get a lot of sort of flow, like feminine flow. So I get a lot of information or people contacting me, or like sort of magic happens and presenters are contacting me. So I feel like I'm a little bit the magic.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit sort of the staff in the ground. You know, he goes like, okay, darling, but you need to go to bed. Or, you know, have you looked at your budget? Or,
Right.
you know, things like that. Or like, what about the relationship? You know, like, let's take some time out. So I do find, I find that actually quite magical, that flow. And then listening to each other as well, because it's two different realms.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're kind of learning from each other as well, to look at the outer feminine and masculine, and sort of at the inner as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's given me some awesome business advice, because obviously it's a huge project to put up, and it's a huge financial commitment as well. Mm.
I love your answer. Thank you for that. I'm curious about what got you both into Tantra in the first place, and how long you've been in this sort of pathway. Ron, how about you?
The honest answer.
Yeah, that's all we want. We want the honest answer.
The honest answer started, I don't know, like 15, 16 years ago.
15 years ago.
So, yeah, or even longer. And the honest answer was a bit of a shadow in me that I had a relationship broke up, a long-term relationship broke up, and I thought this was the fastest way to get laid. On that moment,
Yeah.
which didn't really happen, but
It didn't happen. You didn't get laid.
no, I got all my shit came up.
That's why we do Tantra.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, and then it's the intrigue, and then it's also my own journey of, you know, one layer of the onion and then the other layer of the onion, and also as a man, I really miss, and I'm still working on this. This is an ongoing project of what really love is, and even what really Tantra is, because, like, you know, there's so much interpretation, but for me, I'm still learning. It's still a process, and it's an intrigue of, like, society or in myself, of suppressed sexual energies and shaming, and there's a tough part of being a man as well, because the men have so much abused in the past, and we carry this from your brother, so it's like in society, so it's like it's all out of balance, so it's you know, and I really learned to actually be really true in myself, and into my sexual desires and my energy, and you know, the spiritual part of Tantra, or whatever you call it, has allowed me to be more me.
Yeah. It's allowed you to be more authentically you.
Yeah, and connect love with sexuality, and not using sexuality to get something, to yeah.
Can I just follow up on something there? What I'm curious about is how you got from the part of wanting to shag everybody and thinking that Tantra was the quickest way there, and what held your fascination enough that you went through when your shit came up to stay in it, because that is what happens, and some people kind of leave it at that point. And I think, oh no, actually, it's not what I signed up for. So what kept you hooked? What made you go past that?
Yeah, that's a good question,
That's a good question.
because like it's basically my wounding came up that I just suppressed, and I'm a multi-survivor, like I'm a real survivor and stuff, and I didn't realize that it actually indirectly broke my marriage. And so it's like all this stuff, so it just, and from then on it became an interest, but actually it just kept on popping up little layers and bits and pieces, and what really made me, and then on the end, the sexuality was actually not important. I mean, it sounds weird when I say this. No, I just go back on the first workshop that I did, and I had some rituals with a few women that I had, and they really got something from me which I didn't know I had that. You know, and there was nothing to do with sexuality.
What was it to do with?
Just using my intuition, what came up, and there were some rituals and what I said to little things, and it just made such a difference. And I went like, wow, where did that come from? And yeah, in human design I'm a projector, which I know makes a bit sense, but I have this gift of seeing lots of stuff, and I didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
And also I had my shadow in there, that I'm the rescuer, the wounded healer, so it's like into more and more, and I'm still working on that as well. It still pops up once in a while that I need to go, who is this for? The question.
Right.
So, and kind of also the love came up for people. I could really, something just spontaneously comes up, and it heals without even knowing, without even doing, and it just happens, the magic.
Thank you. Beautiful answer. Thank you. And Marion, how about you? How and why did you get involved in Tantra in the first place?
For me, it was actually an entry through White Tantra. So already at a young age, I was interested in meditation, and I had my first Buddhist meditation teacher from age 17 onwards. And later on, I realized that the meditation I was doing was more the White aspect of Tantra, which means more from a meditation point of view of self-inquiry. And then I guess Tantra is this kind of word which we nowadays connect a lot with sexuality and so on and so forth. But like Ron was saying, it's actually maybe that's an entry point for a lot of people. And it's also in the Taste of Love Festival often misunderstood, is that it's a sex festival. Right. But actually it's a festival of awareness, including the body. So you may come in there out of a curiosity for sexuality, but what you find is so much deeper. It may be your woundings, it may be your fear of connection, or it may be spiritual experiences through connection or sexuality. So my journey was through awareness and meditation, and similar to Ron, I discovered that things weren't really working with my marriage. And I had to look at my sexuality. Right. And so that's how I then basically found Tantra in a way moving more into the body. And now I'm really passionate about embodiment, because I feel we can't really live a fully human incarnation unless we listen to the wisdom in the body and the wounds and the different feelings and sensations. So now I like to really pass that on, that we are in the body right now. We may as well use it, use the vehicle, open the chakras and make the most out of it.
So I'm going to just come back on something that you mentioned. You've both talked quite a bit, or you've mentioned wounding, and of course you're both counsellors and or therapists, and you work in that capacity. So again, when people hear about Tantra for the first time, they might be attracted to the notion of something to do with sex and sexuality. They might not immediately think about wounding. They might not even know what that is. So how does the tantric approach support somebody in dealing with their wounding, and isn't that something to be scared of?
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's like, I think it's not possible the one without the other, so you see like a beautiful gorgeous lake, like a glacier lake, and you go, oh, I'm gonna jump in. So you jump in and it's freezing cold until you start to swim and you create some body heat, and suddenly it's pleasant. So I think like initially people come into Tantra and they're like excited by the idea of intimacy and touch and connection, and then in the next moment they realize, oh, stuff's coming up for me. And the reason it is really that we need to basically clear out our obstacles and our vessel in order to allow more ecstatic or pleasurable energy to come in. So and then this is kind of, for me, the one doesn't go without the other. And it's a fulfilling, ongoing journey, because your pleasure increases, but also your self-awareness. And so you increase in humility, as you realize that it's a lot harder to be really authentic, to be really connected, and to really listen and hear each other. So I think there is, I think all the tantric approaches have a system in place to support people through the awareness process. Yeah, whether it's a meditation journey or in our case it's a journey of different exercises or processes, you know, that or teachings around relating.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that exact question actually, was if you could name one or two practices that have really helped you as a couple navigate, you know, when your stuff comes up, which it obviously does. What have you found most helpful?
We just did a kind of a very new practice, which is an old practice from an old tantric teacher, and which helped us when we, with all the stresses and the thing that we had some issues coming up, and instead of going into talking mind, I decided to do this practice, is to connect sexually, but no movement, no nothing, no mind, and wait till the energy in the genitals started moving.
Starts to flow.
And just wait, and then letting it go, and not going into excitement, not going into, and really feeling this energy connecting, and I really cleared instantly the tension, the build up, the thing that normally would go into your head and blah blah blah. You're this, you're that, and who's right, who's wrong, and and like
Right.
we dissolve this energy and really
Have fun.
really
As
felt
So
that.
do you mean an actual sexual union? Just to be clear, if people are listening and they're wondering, oh, I want to try this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I listened to Barry Long's tapes and something that I practice, and then I thought I'm gonna do this as a and it's really connecting with genitals, connecting, but no sexual energy, just connecting and just and then see what happened.
Right.
Yeah, and
Like soft to start off with.
yeah, you're just connecting softly and just waiting, and there was a magic that we both went totally into waiting, and just it was magical, and
Beautiful.
of
So just the
dissolve.
energy, just allowing energy to flow
Yeah.
between you
Yeah,
and find its own course.
yeah,
And it's a lot wiser than us, and it's a lot more intelligent, and I call it love. And it's sort of, it's an amazing energy, and it makes the personality clash not so important.
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know the
Yeah.
what the business, the the stuff that we just talk about is actually not important.
Totally get you. So we're just going to wrap up the interview now. So I'm just going to ask you to talk about, you've got a workshop coming up in March here in Byron Bay called Reawakening Love. Could you just talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, we designed a 2-day workshop that has like our little gems in there. It's a really sweet workshop for couples or singles, and it's called Reawakening Love because it brings you back to that state of innocence, where you can actually have a look at the concepts and beliefs you have around relationship, what it should be, what it shouldn't be, and then have a look at some of the core patterns that people tend to do on autopilot, but that ruin that sort of freshness and joy. And there's some deep process work in there as well, and it's all practical. And we've run it a couple of times with really good success. Yeah, people love it. It's like all our little gems put together into a 2-day sequence.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Ron, is it for singles and couples, or is it just for couples?
It's for anybody,
For
really.
anybody?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you could come on your own.
Come on your own, any gender.
Your relationship toolbox.
Yeah.
Right. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So and it's and even the workshop itself, it flows of what's needed in the field. So even if we have a program, there's what's needed.
There's
And-
time for people to get what
and,
they
and,
need.
and there's time there as well for ritual to integrate, and there's also space for some release work. Yeah.
Sounds very powerful.
It was.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
So I want to thank you both very much for your time,
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
sharing your wisdom. So
Yes.
yeah,
Mm.
thank you both so much. So thank you to Marion and to Ron, and looking forward to an amazing taste of love.
Yeah. I just want to mention as well, if anybody's interested, the website is tasteoflove.com.au, and you can find our workshop on there as well, and all the program of the festival, which runs annually.
So check out the Taste of Love Festival if you're in Australia. It's on every year. It's amazing. And look forward to seeing you again on the next Heart to Heart.